Thank you, Speaker. I'm honored today on behalf of the Ontario PC Caucus to pay tribute to the late Cliff Pilkey, who died at 90 years of age on November the 17th, 2012. Speaker, Cliff Pilkey was genuinely a passionate man whose early life forged his later political career. He was born into poverty. His mother was a chambermaid and his father a blacksmith. At 13 years old, Cliff dropped out of school to take a job on the boys' line at General Motors in Oshawa. He was a line worker there in 1937, Speaker, when Premier Mitch Hepburn sent a 400-unit militia to the Oshawa plant in an effort to break up a wildcat strike. The action failed, but surely that episode led Cliff to add to his young resume, and it surely helped drive him to the political activism that followed. Cliff Pilkey only served one term in the Legislature, Speaker, from 1967 to 1971, but his was a lifetime of advocacy and achievement. In 1962, the Ontario Human Rights Code barred discrimination on the basis of colour, race, creed, and national origin, but did not include gender. In 1969, a newly formed UAW Local 222 Women's Committee approached their MPP, Cliff Pilkey, convincing him to present a bill outlawing discrimination in employment. A year and a half later, Bill 83, an act to prevent discrimination in employment because of sex or marital status, passed into law. This was followed by an amendment of the Human Rights Code in Ontario. Now, Cliff became president of the Ontario Federation of Labour in 1976 and remained with the organization for a decade. While there, he created 6 affirmative action seats on the Ontario Federation of Labour Board, and in the mid-80s, he established a position for that organization's first full-time officer. He also led campaigns against racism, which ultimately led to a more inclusionary executive at the Ontario Federation of Labour. The slogan at the time, Speaker, was, "Racism hurts everyone," but Cliff Pilkey turned that phrase into action. In 1985, Cliff founded the Workers' Health and Safety Centre in Toronto. He was convinced that successful training could only be accomplished by workers, for workers, free of government or employer influence. Ed Broadbent, the former leader of the federal New Democratic Party, described Cliff as a happy warrior. He was never a down person, always standing at the front of issues and never leading from behind. As confirmed by my friend, Oshawa Regional Councillor Nestor Peterwobecki, at 5'4", Cliff was short in stature, but when he spoke with passion, and he could bellow with the best. Speaker, if he was in the Legislature today, you'd have no difficulty isolating him during question period. He was a mentor to Ed Broadbent, who described him as an intelligent man, deeply committed. Cliff told Mr. Broadbent at one time to stop boring people with academic rhetoric. Speaker, Cliff Pilkey was a principled individual, not driven by convention. At an Ontario Federation of Labour conference in the early 80s, at a time when the labour movement was still an old boys club, and when issues important to women were being marginalized, Cliff gave a great impassioned monologue and discussion filled with passion on women's issues. He was not afraid of controversy because he was never concerned about taking a position that matched his value system. Doing the convenient thing was not a driver for Cliff Pilkey. Doing the right thing certainly was. I recall meeting him only once when the Michael Starr building was opened on King Street in Oshawa. At that time, I was a civil servant with the Ontario Ministry of Revenue and the Communications branch. And that meeting with Cliff, although very brief, made a lasting impression on me. Whatever one's political beliefs, we could all learn a lot by studying the character and actions of this vibrant, caring, and contributing leader. Thanks to his son and his family for sharing him with us, and for the difference that Clifford George Pilkey made in the lives of thousands of people in this province. And God rest his soul.
Thank you.